can't erase. We still lead, we set the pace. Algorithms scan the page, helping teachers set the stage. But human touch can't erase. We still lead, we set the pace. AI and me shaping the scene. Future's bright somewhere between. Upgrade learning, don't take my place. We build the world face to face. Smart replies, instant grades. Tools evolve, but some things stay. Creativity, heart and soul. AI's assist, but we're in control. Binary beats, rhythm tight. Teachers shine in neon light. Let's evolve, let's combine AI.
In the dawn of time, before writing, before civilization, teaching began. The first teachers were the elders, passing knowledge through stories, fire, and survival. From Mesopotamia to Egypt, the first schools were born. Scribes, philosophers, and scholars emerged to shape the world with wisdom. In the heart of Greece and Rome, teaching became an art. Socrates questioned, Plato imagined, Aristotle defined. The foundations of modern education were set. In the East, Confucius taught that education is the path to virtue and harmony. His teachings shaped generations, laying the foundation for lifelong learning and respect. Through dark ages and enlightenment, knowledge survived in monasteries, mosques, and temples, carried by the devoted. The Renaissance brought a new dawn. Books spread knowledge. Teachers became the architects of thought and progress. In the great academies of China, scholars mastered literature, science, and governance, ensuring that education remained the pillar of society. With industry came schools for all. Education moved from the elite to the people, building the workforce of a new age. From war to peace, teachers became the guardians of knowledge, shaping generations and breaking barriers. Today, classrooms transcend walls. Technology, AI, and innovation redefine teaching, but the heart of education remains unchanged. Dedicated teachers lighting the way. Tomorrow's world is unknown, but one truth remains. Teachers will always shape the future. From the first humans to the far future, teaching is the greatest legacy of humankind.
Hey guys, welcome. Thank you for being here. Be proud to be a teacher. Believe me, this is one of the most beautiful jobs on earth, and especially language teachers. Welcome everyone on the ESL live stream. I'm Mike. Here we are on Saturday, 6 p.m. Beijing time. Might be another time for you around the world. And today I wanted to say a special happy Women's Day, right? This is Women's Day today. So best wishes to all our colleagues, female colleagues, and to all the women of the world. Thank you for being here. We're going to be talking about AI and ESL teaching. Feel free to leave your questions into the section down below. Today, Charlie from Charlie's Lesson is going to be joining us very soon. But for now, let's rock and roll, baby. The ESL live stream. Here we go. Hello, Stu. How
Hey,
are
Mike.
you doing?
Yeah, good morning from a sunny England. Finally, yep, spring is definitely coming. Yeah.
Yeah. We got the sun right here in China too. And, it's almost time for a couple of beers. It's Saturday night, 6 p.m. is the time for having a good aperitif.
Oh, it sure is.
Appetizer.
That's one of the big things about China is the spring in China. Wow. If you've never been to China, go at springtime. It's beautiful. The flowers are out. It's really really something.
That's for sure. So I would like to remember everyone that the giveaway is still on. I would like to thank Stu very much for giving away a TESOL course. And tell us a little bit very quickly about your TESOL course, because you are not only a teacher, you are also an author.
Yeah, I've written a few books. I wrote the full 180-hour TESOL course. So it's a really amazing course, very quirky. It's full of artwork and cartoons. It's one of a kind, and the artwork and cartoons throughout the pages, throughout the whole length of the course, they help trainees to understand, which are sometimes quite difficult concepts. So it makes it really easy, and you'll learn things that you can really put to use. I've used all kind of 22 years of my experience to put practical stuff into the course so that when you walk into the classroom, you're able to use it. So yeah, I'm very happy to give away a course for the giveaway.
Thank you. Big shout out. Let me know, everyone, where you from in the chat. Just say a little hello. That will be really awesome. Very soon we're going to welcome, he is here with us today. Say a little hello in the chat. That would be awesome. Let us know where you're from. If you need help with your class, even if it's not according to today's topic, we'll try find a time to answer you. And yeah, just feel free. AI and ESL teaching, let us know if you need help with it. If you got questions, just feel free to ask. Wonderful
ahead,
topic
Mike.
today.
Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
All right, so let's, without waiting more, let's welcome Charlie's from Charlie's Lesson YouTube channel. Here we go.
Let's welcome today's guest, Charlie from Charlie's Lesson YouTube channel.
Hey, Charlie, thank you so much for coming today. Mucho gusto. Bienvenido en la casa del Mike. Digo, perdón, un poquito de español. Mucho gusto. Que
Muy
es
bien.
una... Well,
Thank you.
Stu's going to be like, no, guys.
Yeah,
Please,
don't start with
keep
that.
that English.
But that was very good Spanish, Mike. I'm impressed.
My Spanish was better than my English before. You know,
Oh, really? Okay.
I went to Barcelona when I was 11 years old. You know,
Okay.
exchange students,
Yeah.
and always good memories. You know, that's
Awesome.
a lovely place. Love to be there.
Awesome.
It's really awesome place. Thank you for joining us today.
No
It's
problem.
really a great pleasure to have you with us. Can you just maybe, we know, of course, hosts and guests, we know you a little, but maybe introduce yourself for everyone to know a little bit more about yourself.
Perfect. Yeah. Well, so my name is Charlie, and I run the YouTube channel Charlie's Lessons. It's the same name across all my socials. So if you just search for Charlie's Lessons anywhere, you'll find me. And well, I'm originally from the UK, from Bath. So when I was around, well, early 20s, let's say, I took on my first teaching job in Thailand. I worked there for 18 months and absolutely loved it. Then that's when I realized, I kind of thought I could probably do this for the rest of my life. And then I worked for 1 year in South Korea as an English teacher also. I did want to work in Japan, but just didn't find a job for that time of the year. And so I moved to South Korea for a year. And then I thought, well, I'm living quite far away from home, so I wanted to get closer. And also, I need to do some more formal teacher training. So that's when I also decided to do the CELTA course. So I went back to my hometown, Bath, did my CELTA course there, and then got invited to where I am now, which is called Cadiz, which is in the
Cadiz.
south of Spain. And I got invited here by a university friend, and he left and I stayed. And I've just been here ever since. That's probably, I think that was in 2011. And I did some work in Seville as well, but it's always been in this part of the world. So, and now I'm a director of studies at a local school here. The name of the school is International House Cadiz. And then obviously my YouTube channel, I got that started just after the pandemic, or during the pandemic, I started my YouTube channel. And so since about 2020, 2021, and now, yeah, here I am now.
Very
Congratulations, you're doing pretty good. You're doing pretty good.
Thank you.
I think one of the benefits about, starting out in Thailand, probably quite limited resources, you get to you develop a particular kind of fun style of teaching.
Yeah.
And then maybe you can go on to Korea and maybe like kind of change your methodology a little bit.
Sure. Yeah.
And then going back at doing your formal CELTA training in Bath, and then going out to Spain where it's kind of a different feel. It gives you more kind of strings to your bow, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think what we're talking about today, it's funny because, those initial years especially in Thailand, we're talking about tech today. I had zero tech in my classrooms. I had groups of up to 50 students. I had, I don't know if I even had a computer, and I had a blackboard, chalk, and no air conditioning. It was it was good because that was where I really honed. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And sometimes those didn't even work sometimes. So, I lost a lot of weight, I think.
3 kind of moved like a snail's pace,
Yeah, exactly. So, so that's interesting actually, because, it's kind of like I've now kind of developed this persona that's related around tech in the classroom, but that's not how it started, and it's only really been, I'm sure everyone feels the same way. So it's only been in recent times that tech has really kind of taken a pivotal role in the classroom. So, Yeah, but yeah, it's been incremental. You know, when I first started in Thailand and then Korea, like the resources available, everything got a little bit better, and obviously now it's incredible what you can do in the classroom. But yeah, it's definitely added strings to my bow, as you said. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
Mm.
With the well, I know I've known you kind of like we've never spoken face to
Sure.
face. We've known each other probably about 4 years, I'd say.
Yeah.
And honestly, your videos that you make are really something. You
Hmm.
know, if people watching this channel, I really highly recommend looking up Charlie's lessons. Just the ideas, the websites that you have in particular. You know, if you're teaching this, check out this
Yeah.
website. That will really
Yeah.
help.
Yeah.
Actually, on my TESOL course, each unit has got recommended websites to
Hmm.
visit, and
Yeah.
for reading, for the receptive skills.
Yeah.
Yeah, I direct my trainees to you.
Great, great. I mean, I think it's incredible how many there are, to be honest. You know, I keep surprising myself of how many I find each day. There are a lot of bad ones. I've got to be honest. You know, some that I tend not to share those. And when I find a website that I think can be useful for teachers, I know it's going to be popular. I know people are going to like it. So I mean, I think the latest one I found was about just free ebooks online, which are graded by CEFR levels. And I
Mm,
thought this is just exactly what teachers are looking for and what
mm,
students are looking for as well. And as soon as I made that video, I knew that was going to. I think that's kind of one of the most popular videos in the last 6 months on my
mm.
TikTok channel. And it just goes to show that teachers are just always receptive to new resources, anything that can just help them, help their students
Yeah.
and yeah,
Because
so
normally those graded readers, they're expensive. You know, they're
yeah,
prohibitively expensive for
Oh
teachers.
yeah.
The schools won't pay for them. The teachers can't afford it privately.
exactly. Yeah, it feels a bit of a. It's funny. We often have these tutorials at the end of each term, and we kind of encourage parents to go out and buy books for their children, and it feels a bit of a cop out, a bit of a to say to them, just go to your local bookshop and just find one and buy it. It's just, and that
Yeah.
feels a bit that's not really helping them in a way. It's kind of like handing over responsibility to them. And I think with a website like that I just mentioned, it's kind of you really are helping them because it's they can just get
Yeah,
it
I
for
mean,
free. Yeah.
gives equity because if
Yeah.
you're saying to student parents, go out and buy one, half will that can afford it, half
Mm,
won't that can't afford it, and then
yeah.
you create imbalance straight away.
Yeah. I think someone's just asked for the website in the chat.
Oh,
um,
yeah, Pavel, from Russia. So he's one of our normal people that are with us each week. Hey, Paul,
great.
how's it going?
Well, it's right here. Big
Do,
shout
do you
out.
want me to do you want me to pop it in? Do you want me to pop the in the chat, or if
Yeah,
you
no,
guys?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, no problem. You
It's
know it better than us.
let me.
That would be quite
I
helpful
don't know.
actually, because like lots of people who miss the live, they come and get the replay, and if the links are
Yeah.
going into the chat box,
Give me
that would be
one
Yeah,
super
second. I'm just
super
gonna
handy.
I'm just
Actually,
gonna
yeah,
jump
yeah,
on
good,
my
no rush.
channel and
no
just pull it
problem.
up.
We're live.
Yeah.
That's the rules. That's the problem.
Yeah, it's a
Okay.
really flexible live. This is the style of the ESL live. It's
Yeah.
really cool.
All right. Let me just find the name of the site. One second, because it is really useful. Um,
Ro-
right, here you go.
Oh, do we
Rocco,
have
not
Rocco in the
normal
chat
people.
as well? Hey,
Yeah,
Rocco.
Rocco is right here too. Yeah. Shout out to Rocco.
Rocco, the
I've
IELTS master.
I've just sent it to
Yeah,
someone.
yeah, I saw it.
I don't know if you can copy and paste that over.
Yeah, no
All right.
problem. Going for that.
Cool.
Because it's going to be going on all the platform. If you're watching on Instagram, we're live on Instagram, live on TikTok, and live on obviously YouTube and also Facebook. Feel free to leave your questions. I'm checking out. Don't worry. Instagram as well. Checking over there. Feel free to say hello in the chat, and we're gonna go through the question with the first question. What are the biggest advantages of
Hmm.
using AI in the ESL classroom?
Sure. I think we're going to look at it from kind of two different angles. You've got your teachers and you've got your students. So it's, who are we thinking about first? So obviously, as teachers, it's I would recommend using, and I think one of the big advantages of using AI is to use it for inspiration. So it's to use it to generate ideas. And I know that teachers generally can be quite imaginative. They can come up with their own ideas, but some teachers are working with a lot of different groups, a lot of different classes, especially if you're working full time. And sometimes you don't have those creative juices flowing. You need to kind of resort to some external, source of inspiration. So I think sometimes a lot of these text generative tools can do that. That you just pop your query or the problem into somewhere like ChatGPT or Google's Gemini and just ask it, okay, I've got this type of group, I've got this type of problem, I've got this type of grammar point or vocabulary, and I would like to do something dynamic or something interesting, but I just can't think of something right now. And so from my experience, that's how I've used it more often than not, is just to get it to generate ideas when you're not really feeling too imaginative yourself. I think with students as well, it can be the same. I think we've all been in a classroom where our students, you're hoping they're able to give you some great ideas or some suggestions, but it just doesn't come to them. And then that's also a time when you can perhaps say, well, look, why don't you put the question to ChatGPT or Gemini? Let's see what they have to say. Let's see what that tool has to say, and maybe it puts into words exactly what they were thinking. But also it can help them lead on to other ideas. I think the danger that we have, I think, when we use these tools, though, is that I think we need it's a fine line between using it to inspire you and just using it to do the thinking for you. I think there's a trap there where if you do overuse it and you're using it too often, then you start to lose that capacity to think for yourself and to imagine things for your classroom. And I think just like anything, it's just in moderation. You need to resort to it sometimes, but you need to be careful about how much you're going back to it. And I think it can be helpful I would say, to brainstorm ideas for the classroom and to give you inspiration, especially for teachers and for students. I think when you are going to these tools like ChatGPT and Gemini, it's really important that you are being as clear as possible about what you're asking. And I think a lot of the problems that teachers come across is that they use AI tools and they think, well, it didn't give me what I wanted, and they're kind of disappointed with the result. And often it's because you haven't asked the right questions and you haven't written the correct prompt. And so there really is an art to that. And I think a lot of teachers need to understand and realize that you need to give these services or these tools as much information as possible, as much context as possible, really define what it is you want, and before you submit your prompt. So I think that's really the key, and I think that's where it can be the biggest advantage, is when you give it the right context and the right instructions. And I think in a way, I think us as teachers, we're used to doing that in the classroom. You have to be wary about the instructions you give your students, because otherwise the activity won't develop in the way that you expected. So I think that's something that you can draw comparisons to. I think as teachers, when you set up a task in the classroom, you need to be very clear about how it's going to be done, and so your students can understand that and carry it out. And I think it's the same with AI. You have to treat it like a student almost.
Yeah.
ESL teacher Galloway was saying prompting is the key.
Yeah, I would totally
and
agree
that's
with
true.
that. And I think and I think that's across the board. I'm talking about AI text generative tools, but whenever you come across an AI tool, it's always going to ask you, there's going to be a step in the process where they're going to need you to tell them what to do. And this could be either generating images, voices, presentations, anything. And you're going to need to learn how to refine those prompts to get what you want. And so, yeah, I think that's kind of like the keystone, or the cornerstone of what it is you're doing with AI.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
and
definitely a
he,
learned. It's a learned art, which
Yeah,
isn't too difficult. But yeah, AI, ChatGPT is only as good as the prompts that you give it.
exactly.
So, for example, I was teaching a few weeks ago. I had like an adult group, and I put into like suggest some speaking activities for an adult group,
Hmm.
and it kind of like kicked out some ideas, and they weren't really suitable. And I was like, oh, hold on, that wasn't a very good prompt. So I was like, right, suggest some speaking activities for B1 level who've been recently practicing like past continuous.
Yeah,
And then I got some much more focused topics that I can actually
sure,
use with my students.
sure.
Yeah, and actually talking about the prompts, I've got a good mate, David Weller. He's quite
Yeah.
well known within ELT, and he's written a book about prompts, how to kind of prompts that you can use. So that's worth checking out as well.
I've just
Charlie is, yeah,
yeah,
that's what I was checking.
I've just popped into the chat a kind of a framework almost for prompts in general. It's called like the Risen framework, and it's kind of yeah, follows RISEN, and so it's R is the role, so you need to explain to this to the AI tool
Yeah,
who are they
act.
going to
Mm.
be. Then I is the instructions. Then S are the steps. So you need to like map it out for the tool that which steps are going to take. And then E is what do you want at the end. And then N is for like, this is again what I'm talking about. Whenever teachers ask AI tools to produce something, they're not happy with the results. It's because you haven't told it what not to do. You know, don't do this, or I don't want this, or or warn it not to include this. You know, and so I find that
Mm.
if I think that's kind of like a nice way of
Yeah, and
remembering that Risen.
we get ESL teacher Galloway on Instagram who is saying that ask him about stacking using more than one LLM or
Okay.
having them riff off one another.
So yeah, I mean, I think with I guess he's referring to when he's using different tool, like so for example, I know that within ChatGPT and Gemini there are kind of different levels, and there's ones that provide more reasoning or more logic. I think this is
Yeah.
what he's referring to. And so the problem with those though is that often the ones that provide the clearest answer or the most accurate answer are the ones that actually are you have to pay for them. And so I'm not using, whenever I use AI, I'm currently not paying for any of these tools, you know. So
Mm.
I usually avoid that. And I obviously, one of the things I always do on my channel is never try not to recommend tools that are going to require subscription to even start using it. So there always must be a free plan. And so if I'm talking about AI tools on my website, on my channel, there always must be a free version. And so a lot of these strategies for prompts, they're all directed towards these free versions, which are
Mm.
not pulling across various big data sources, you know.
And so that's pretty much answering the question, how can
Yeah.
teachers choose the right digital tools without feeling overwhelmed? But this
Yeah.
is about choosing the right tools. Be careful with what you were just saying,
Mm.
Yeah.
that the paywalls, I know there are a lot of AI websites. When you arrive, they ask you to pay, and then you see, no, I hate that. You have to
Yeah.
have a free plan, like I said. But
Yeah.
that people might feel as well overwhelmed with too much maybe digital tools
Yeah.
or
Yeah. I think
so.
the key, yeah, I think the key is like you need to be clear about what it is you want to achieve, what it is you want to do in your classroom. You know, and
Objectives.
I think there can be some teachers fall into the trap of just using a tool because it looks kind of shiny and new, you know. And I think
Yeah.
you need to be careful about that, because is it really going to provide value? Is it going to be something that you couldn't do before? And I think if you apply that criteria to when you're choosing tools, I think that can help you make a decision whether to use it or not. I
Mm.
think it's very difficult in this current time to not feel overwhelmed, and I've actually had comments on my channel where people, I get the impression people are a little bit burnt out perhaps from just how many tools and how many things there are, and I think that's the problem. I think a lot of teachers feel under pressure to use them, or they feel like they have an obligation to use these in the classroom because they don't want to fall behind. But I think it's important to remember, why do you want to use this? Is it going to do something that you couldn't do previously?
Mm.
And I think that's
Yeah,
a important
like
thing to
have an objective in mind.
Yeah,
Like a goal. Why
exactly.
like you say, why are you using AI?
Mm.
Charlie, I love that Risen framework. I'm gonna definitely
Yeah,
commit that to memory.
yeah.
So just a quick one, because there's going to be a lot of people watching, and for ChatGPT, is there like a maximum length for the prompt you can use?
I think that there are, especially again with the free versions, there will be instances where the it kind of breaks down. So sometimes I've come across okay, this is a good example. So one of the earlier uses of ChatGPT that I used was to translate text. So I would take my YouTube transcripts and translate it into English. Oh, sorry, into into Spanish. And
All good.
yeah, and because some of my videos were quite long, so there's a lot of text, and I would often pop it in, and sometimes it would work, and sometimes it would just kind of crash and just say, I'm not able to do what you're asking me to, even though it already has previously. And I think in terms of prompts, I think a prompt is never going to be to a length where you're going to kind of force it to break down. I think that's not going to happen. I think when it becomes when you have seriously long text, I think that's where it becomes an issue. But yeah, in terms of like the amount of text that you input, and I think also keep in mind that when you open a new chat within ChatGPT or Gemini, it'll update its memory. So within a chat, it will keep in mind the information you've given it previously, and that might come from the day before, the week before. And naturally, if you're inputting prompts into ChatGPT, you'll see a little message coming up saying like updating memory. So it's kind of like trying to remember what you've already said.
Exactly. It's pretty much petting him.
Yeah.
Petting really, I've been using ChatGPT since it's on, and really it knows me even better than myself. You get some prompts that you use, because I use it for everything, like you said, for translation, because it's faster and it's accurate. Is not too bad.
Yeah.
But there are different chats. I think you now on ChatGPT you get that deep, what is it? Deep thinking, I think.
Deep learning or deep thinking, is it?
Yeah, deep learning. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So this one is quite really impressive too.
Yeah.
But sometimes if you change, it is not going to remember what you said in your maybe chat GPT 4.0 or 3.5. It's going to lose some of its memory. So it's very interesting on chat GPT that you have this project. Now you can open projects so that you can keep on asking question on it, right? You can keep on your subject. Maybe you can, for example, we can use it for, French topics, PBL topics. So it's going to keep your old PBL, and then it's going to tell you what you got to do with the next PBL.
I was watching a webinar about a month ago about ChatGPT, and it was talking about 4.0, and apparently the capabilities of 4.0 compared to the free one are just like literally through the roof. It will blow you away. So I'm kind of curious about it. I'm happy to use the free one. It kind of does everything I need it to do. Maybe it's a case of, if I was to try the 4.0, I'll be like, right, I'm not going back to the free one. But for now, I'm kind of sport for choice. It's doing great. You know, I'm very happy with the free chat GPT.
Yeah.
Charlie, I've got a
Yeah.
question actually. So you said at the beginning of this live that we need to kind of divide it into two areas of thinking: what AI can do for and tech can do for teachers, and also what it can do for students. So what kind of tech and an AI can you use within the classroom, during your teaching and for students, or perhaps what they can do at home themselves?
I mean, I think there are. I've tested ideas in the classroom using image generation tools. So there, I find nowadays there's a lot of image generation tools available online, and some of them are quite good and free as well. And there are some, for example, I remember doing recently an activity in the classroom called my dream house. And so the students had to come up with we reviewed obviously vocabulary and any structures related to describing a house and types of houses. And then the students had to come up with a description and put that into a image generation tool. And then it kind of came out with an image of the house that they described. And it was quite interesting to see the way that it
That's what I did
differentiated
with my
between.
French class.
Oh, really?
Yes, my dream house, exactly the same.
Yeah. And
it comes, but I wasn't using it wasn't DALL-E or any of it. It was Pixlr.
Okay.
Which is a kind of Adobe website.
Yeah.
You can create your thumb and all stuff, and then they came up with AI creations. And then when my students, they were pretty much like that was right away in the classroom. That was the same. I was like, hey guys, you know what? Describe. So they give me, because I all work on internet. I use VHL Central. So when I would see all their writings right away on my screen, and then I copy it and put it into the what is it called, Pixlr? Well, that's image generating, and it will show up right away. And then the kids will look at it and it was like, yeah, that's what I wanted. Yeah. And they were like, some of them were like, oh no, man, that looks like my grandma's house. I say, you know what? I'm sorry, you got to give more details.
Exactly.
And that's how they get to write better, use more descriptive adjectives. So that's awesome. You have the same experience. That's crazy. Wow.
And it's really useful for practicing this, like paraphrasing. So it's like, okay, so the image you got initially was not what you had in mind. How do you say the same thing but just in a different way? Because sometimes that's what the AI needs. It needs to kind of
lacking the vocabulary.
Yeah, exactly. So it needs to pull from a range of ideas and thoughts. I mean, there's AI transcription services as well, AI transcription tools. So recording students and having AI produce a transcript of what students are saying, and I find that's a really useful tool as well for students, because I like the idea of having students see what they've said. And so you might be doing a speaking task in class, and you get the students to, you as a teacher or the students themselves might record their voice, and then have a AI tool, a transcription tool, pull the text from that audio, and then once you've got what the student said in text format, then you can get a really good idea about what kind of language they produce, how to improve it, what mistakes they made, and it's great for the students to see that too. And I think that can help a lot of the time, because I feel like with some speaking tasks, I don't know about how you feel, but often I feel when you've got your notebook and you're kind of listening, but sometimes you miss things, or you might have various students speaking in pairs at the same time, so you're not really able to get around the class. And that's a solution for that, is to get the students to record themselves. And I think you asked Stuart about, working from home, perhaps. This is again, they can do speaking tasks and record themselves, and then you can get the text from there. It's a big shame that that Microsoft Flip has ceased to continue. I don't know if you're familiar with that service. It was a video service. It was designed for teachers, designed for education, and students could upload videos of them speaking about a certain topic, and that was really good. But we've lost that now. So,
Is there anything that has replaced it at all, Charlie?
Well, Padlet. That was actually Padlet was one of the tools I was going to mention for the previous question, but it's a collaborative tool for teachers and students, and they've got a option to upload videos, but it's not as intuitive as Flip was. But I think they're trying to place themselves as the replacement for Flip. So I think they might be fine tuning it. But yeah, Padlet allows you to upload videos to a shared space. And I think that
for example, you might be, talking, for example, like language about house, or and then for a follow-up activity, you might ask students to go home and autonomously think about it, and then make their own video, upload it, and then you can use AI to transcribe it, and then you can use that perhaps in a review lesson for the next time.
Exactly, and you can maybe you've identified vocabulary that they had to use, maybe a list of about 10 words, and say, I need to hear all these, or a certain structure, that you would like to hear, and that way you can show them, did you use the structure? Can you see it in what you said? And,
so that will have big kick-ons for like student motivation as well. Students are going to really enjoy learning English, in those kinds of ways,
And I think when you can put text through these CEFR checkers that are quite popular online, and you can actually pull out a level of what they've said. And I think again, when you talk about student motivation, when you say to a student, well, look, this is what you produced orally, and this is considered a level, a B1 or a B2, and I think, oh wow, is that the level I've got? And they're quite, they feel it's a good feeling, for the students.
Like in China, it's a big drive now across the country for like the key tests for schools for A2, and the PET tests for B1. And I think by doing these kind of tasks, you could like demonstrate to schools and to parents, actually your student is actually, they're still A2. We're missing these kinds of things to make the jump.
Yeah, I can see you've got Padlet up. I think
just to show everyone, for people who don't know yet. So I think it's very important. I'm gonna share the.
Padlet's had a big revamp recently, and it's got a lot of new AI tools.
Exactly.
That have made it. I think it's up there with, tools like Canva for designing, producing content. It's just not got the same amount. I just don't think it's got the same kind of marketing power as Canva has, for example. But
yeah,
they were all tools that are added AI in it. Many of them before didn't have AI. I'm thinking about maybe other very famous Kahoot, or other, for example, there's another Quizlet or Blue Cat, and then now they all integrate AI into it to help you create and engage your students, frankly. And then for you to have, not to be that overwhelmed with your work, because creating a Kahoot before was taking quite a lot of time. But now, no, it's not the case.
I think that's what puts a lot of teachers off when they go onto these kinds of sites, especially the digital assessment tools, is that you have to kind of create your own quiz or test. And I think the great things about these websites is that you can either build with AI, or you can actually just pull out. I mean, nowadays there's a lot of already community-made materials that you can just use directly in class as well. And so,
where could you find those community materials? So for me, I've never used Padlet before.
Okay, so
where would be a starting point?
Yeah, so for Padlet, immediately for Padlet, they have a lot of templates that you can use that are that are for teachers. So I'd have to go in and have another look, but I know that they have they're kind of templates that will act as a springboard for an activity. So it will be set up in a certain way that lends itself to having students compare objects, or maybe a timeline. In terms of Padlet, in terms of community, maybe there's nothing that's actually that's what I'm referring to with ready-made materials. That they're just the templates. Then is a setup so that you can take it into the classroom and get started with the students. When I'm talking about community-made materials, when we're talking about Kahoot or Quizlet or even Bamboozle, which is another one.
Oh yeah, I heard that one.
Yeah, because so many teachers are using them, then they're all creating materials, making them public. And so a lot of these activities and quizzes, they're already there, ready to be used. And so all you need to do, as if you haven't got time to make your own quiz or assessment, then you can just search for a key term that is relevant for your class, and usually there'll be a quiz or an activity that's suitable for your class. So I think AI is obviously integrated into a lot of these tools, so it doesn't mean you need to create everything from scratch, but also a lot of the time there are already activities, quizzes that are already ready for you to use in class as well. So I think with those particular tools, from the pure fact that so many people are using them, then there's already a library of content that you can use. So this kind of takes.
And these websites, are they? I'm just asking on behalf of people who might be watching that, a beginner.
Yeah.
Are they quite intuitive? Could anybody do this?
Yeah. So I think honestly, my go-to website for if we're specifically talking about games, quizzes, assessments in the classroom, my go-to website is Bamboozle.
That's what I was looking for.
Yeah, so it's
Bamboozle.
actually it's got an extra A at the beginning, so it's Bamboozle. Yeah, like
that will get you when you're looking.
So there you go. I've just popped it in the chat now, and it just sits in your browser. So I know that one of the things we were going to talk about today was about limited access in schools or low tech alternatives. Bamboozle is a site that just can work very well within most browsers, so you don't need to install anything especially for that. And so if you've got a fairly stable internet connection and an internet browser, then you're ready to go. And that is really intuitive, and it works with almost any age as well. So I mean, I've used this with kids, teenagers, adults, and it's got something for everyone. And I'd say that this is probably the one that's I think the fact is as well, in my school, I've got 13, 14 teachers working in my school, and whenever I go past the classrooms, I look through the window, and more often than not, teachers are using this website. And it could be a review at the beginning of the class. It could be a game at the end of the class. It could be it's got a lot of different uses. It could be for adults for conversation classes, so you're kind of having questions coming up and so on. And so I think the pure fact that I'm seeing it in use so much, I think that's testament to it, I think. Yeah.
So does this have like a free plan and a premium plan?
Yeah. It has it's a freemium, I guess you call it. It has a free plan where you can use all the material, but the way it kind of encourages you to pay is that there are a lot of different game modes. So if you would like to try the different game modes, you can do that. But there is still like the basic game modes, which are absolutely fine. You can still use that. Yeah.
So potentially a way is, if you're new to this, is just check out the free one, play around with it, see what it can do for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's very, very cool.
Yeah, that's one website that I can really vouch for, I think.
Got another question here. What kind of mistakes might teachers potentially make with using tech in the classroom?
I think we talked about already about pricing plans on websites. I think that's usually the first thing I look for. So I think when you you see a tool advertised or mentioned somewhere and you think I'll use that, but then you realize you have to pay for it, and that's obviously, you know, sometimes tools are worth paying for, but it really does depend, you know, until you've actually used it first, you don't know if you want to or not. I think as well, it has to be simple. You know, Stuart, you talked about tools being intuitive. I think that's really important because you have to remember that if you want your students to use this tool as well, it has to be simple. And I think a lot of the mistakes that teachers make is that while we might understand how the website works and we might be, you know, tech savvy and then know our way around the computer, for example, we often assume our students are the same, but that's not often the case. And I think a lot of students are not familiar with technology, and while they all have, you know, you will see them on their mobile phones all day, you know, that doesn't mean that they're familiar with
They're probably
how.
just flicking through TikTok videos, right?
Exactly, and they're not, you know, they haven't got the knowledge that you do perhaps have. So I think it has to be, you have to put yourself in your students' shoes and think about how easy is it for you to use this in the classroom, and how easy is it going to be for them. And again, going back to what we talked about before, you know, is it going to do something new? Is it going to do something that you couldn't do previously? Actually, it's funny because recently I wanted to play a Guess Who game, or Who's Who, you know, where you kind of have to describe people, and I decided to try, and I found an online version of it, and it was just really slow, and this kind of just, I was thinking, why am I doing this online? Why am I doing this digitally? And it took us about half an hour to get through one game. And I thought, well, I could just get the board game and we could probably play this 3 or 4
Is
times
it the
in
man
about,
with glasses?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Or Hangman, for example, you know, like,
Oh yeah.
I've seen a lot of teachers use like digital versions. I was like, do you really need a digital version of the Hangman game? You know,
Yeah.
if you've got a board and a pen, that's it. You know, you don't need any more than that. And I think there are certain times where you decide to use a digital version, or an assessment, or a game that is just going to take up too much time, and it's actually going to make it less fun and less interesting for you and less engaging. And so I think it can be, yeah, I think it can be difficult sometimes to make sure that, you know, you choose the right tool for the right time for the right activity. So I think there a lot can be said for just thinking about, you know, is this going to take more time than necessary? Is it going to do something new? So yeah, just think about those things, I think.
Yeah. That's
And
really good advice.
Neves is asking, morning all, which tool would you recommend when we need to practice very specific vocabulary from a unit, for example? Like we were talking about the link is still in a close, that was bamboozle. You get
Yeah,
vocabulary activities, right?
yeah, yeah.
So I'm gonna put it again.
I mean, tool you
Or
recommend. I
any
think,
others?
yeah. Well, I think Quizlet is a great self-studies tool, if this is what we're kind of talking about. So students being able to study on their own. I think Quizlet can, obviously, you can make your own flashcards. It'll test you. It's a very useful tool for that, and I think it actually has a lot of uses outside of English as a foreign language, as well. So I often find students who are using Quizlet to prepare for different subjects as well, or even language learning as well. I
Cool.
think it can be a useful tool if you're learning a new language yourself. So I would recommend, yeah, Quizlet, which is, I think if you're just familiar with, it's spelled like this, Quizlet.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
For
I think, yeah.
Charlie, you just said that students can go home and, like, you know, self-study. Would that require them to have their own account and, you know, knowledge of how to use Quizlet?
Well, you can, again, with Quizlet, the teacher can make the account and make the study cards, as you call them, for the specific vocabulary that the student needs, and then I believe that you can share a link to that, and then they can go ahead and practice that. Well, I think with most of these sites, if there's going to be a bit more analysis on what the student's learning and not learning and the progress they're making, then I would recommend making an account. And that's actually something that I'm always familiar. I'm always wary of as well. You know, when you're introducing what we just talked about earlier about what tools to choose to use in your classroom, what mistakes teachers make when choosing tools. I think not having the necessity to open an account is a big thing for me. So I think if you're bringing a new tool into the classroom and students can just access it, use it without having to make an account, without having to give any details, that's important, I think.
No, I guess like if you're doing things like Quizlet and you're going to be asking your students to go home and like do things by themselves. I guess it's like old school kind of modeling, right? So you could actually practice this in the classroom together.
Yeah.
So you can get the link
Blended
up on the
learning.
board. Yeah, and then like and so you're practicing in the classroom and getting students to practice, demonstrate that they can understand, and then they can go home and practice by themselves.
Exactly. Yeah, I would. Yeah, I mean, I'd always, especially with any kind of homework task that involves something online, or then I would always run through a model of it with the students in class. I mean, we have an assessment, we have a self-correcting assessment tool for our Cambridge exam classes, and they all log in on their phones. But obviously, the first time we used that, we did an activity together in class. And so that was the first step, and then the rest of it. Technically, they're supposed to carry on doing at home, but it's so
whether they do or not.
Yeah, that's it. Isn't
welcome
it?
to being a teacher, really.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but no, you can practice ahead and give students the skills that they need to be able to do it at home.
Yeah, exactly. So I think in terms of this question here, again, we talked about Bamboozle, the fact that it's just everything's within the browser. So in terms of what you need from a computer, it's very, very, very limited. And also, just one more thing as well. I know with Quizzes, which is a tool for assessment, they have this really neat feature, which is if your students don't have mobile phones or devices, then you can actually print out these QR codes, or what appear QR codes, and these codes are unique for each student. And the only person that actually needs a device is the teacher. And so you kind of scan these codes. So they're all kind of, imagine you're kind of holding up these codes, and this code is connected to a specific answer. So if it's a multiple choice question from A to D, then depending on which way they turn the card, so if you've got it this way or this way, then that's A, B, C, or D. And students, what the teacher's doing is scanning for those answers, and it's a very quick way of retrieving the information from the students without having them to bring their phones or devices. So that's
cool.
Yeah,
and it brings kind of like learning to brings modern teaching, and it these students are going to be really like, I'm really into motivation. And students being motivated, motivated students going to learn language so much more readily. It's going to really, I really want to go back to Charlie's class. That was awesome. I've never had a class like that before. I want to go back.
Exactly.
It's a big thing,
Yeah.
So Charlie, how do you see? And then we get the question 7. It's almost 1 hour. That's going pretty fast, huh? A very interesting topic for sure. So how do you see AI and ed tech evolving in the next few years for ESL teachers?
I think I've seen kind of two different opinions about this. I think there are definitely a group of teachers that are already worried about how much AI is stepping into the classroom and being used in the classroom, but there's also a lot of teachers who are quite excited by it and quite interested in what it potentially can do. I think there's a debate here, where teachers are fearful that what we're doing now is we're kind of training this big AI monster to kind of eventually take over, and all we're doing is feeding it more and more of our expertise and knowledge, and eventually it's going to be too big and powerful for us to stop, and then there's obviously the other line of thought is that we're actually helping each other, and we're saving each other time, and we're better able to attend to our students' needs and so on. So I think we really are at the very beginning of this process. I think a lot of a lot of the tools that we're seeing now are not going to exist in a few years or even a few months time. I think it's really the ones that make a big impact and are actually useful are the ones that are going to stick around. So we can already see that with some tools. You see a lot of tools come and go, and I think some will stick around, and we'll be able to use them the long term. But I think we might look back in a maybe a decade or in 5 years and think how many tools were people making. There was people were just going
Mm,
crazy for AI, and I think what we might end up doing is looking back and thinking we probably that was probably too much. We were probably trying to do too much in the classroom with AI. Maybe we will refine it to just a few, not a few, but just like a handful of tools that really can be used in the classroom. But I think where AI is going is AI is making progress or making headway in a lot of different sectors. Not only education. Education is I think a big market for AI, and I think you can already see that. But I think AI is going to be affecting a lot of different sectors, and it's just how you
mm,
kind of respond to that. I think that's the key. Um,
mm.
I think I've heard a lot of people talking about the kind of maybe one of the questions here we'll talk about is just that personal connection with students and as a teacher. I think AI will never replace that. So I
Yeah.
think that's one thing we can be sure that won't be replaced.
Yeah, I did an activity a couple of weeks ago, and I said, the question was, would you like to have AI teachers in your schools? And I was asking
Mm,
these students, they're Polish students, and they were like, no, we
yeah,
wouldn't like that. And the reason is because of the human element.
yeah, yeah. I
That's
think
it.
that's it. I think that's
Well,
something
the
we've always
kids
got.
can be learning at home too.
Yeah, with that, so there's
They
no
don't
teacher
need,
either.
yeah, they can be staying at home and learning. In China, we can see a lot
Yeah.
on social media. There are more and more parents who uh, keep the kids at home, and they're using AI to teach their kids instead of going to school,
hmm
Wow.
That's kind
and
of
that's
that's
real.
yeah, that's happening now, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So
But
it's like,
I think there
yeah,
are. I mean, there is. I think obviously ever since the pandemic, I think there are a lot of students out there that have realised that they prefer online learning and learning from home. You know, there are. I think there are
yeah, they,
still. I think I mean, in my school, we still have students. The vast majority of students still want face-to-face classes and that contact, with a person. But
Yeah.
there are definitely. I have met students who, I think there was a lot of negativity, obviously, coming out of the online learning or online teaching world during the pandemic. A lot of students didn't enjoy it, but there are students who do, and they still do. And I think they've now decided they're going to keep it that way.
Mm,
and
That's
yeah.
good.
the thing
Yeah.
in China is like you have so many students, per class, you get 55 kids. The teacher don't have really to pay attention to all of them, and plus it's not free. So it's
hmm
for them, it's choosing to work with AI might be something
Mm,
that really help them. Some kids
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of kids doing great, having great results, even if it
hmm
was using AI.
hmm
That's the thing. The tool, it's a tool. If you know how to use it, prompt it
mm.
correctly, then yes, of course, why not?
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's the
Yeah.
practical side of things with learning online as well. You might be a parent, you've got to get dinner ready, and you need to drive your child into the city
hmm
for face to face class. There's nowhere to park. How do you keep yourself amused while the lesson goes
Yeah.
on, or you can just stay at home?
Yeah. I
So I
think that.
think we're going to
Yeah.
see it more and more.
Yeah. I think there's a lot to be said about that as well. About how it really depends where you are and what's available. I think I live in a very small place. A lot of our students live very close, and I mean, to be honest, where I live, everywhere is close. You can walk pretty much everywhere. So, but again, that's not the case for a lot of cities. A lot of children growing up, they're not
Mm,
living in these kind of areas. They're living, yeah. So maybe online is an
yeah,
option.
yeah, we're going to see it more and
Here
more. Wow, this has been
here we go
awesome.
with Yeah, here we go with the last question. So, what advice do you have for teachers who feel
Intimidated.
intimidated by
Yeah.
using technology? Yeah, and
Um,
step by step, right?
yeah. I think it's just take step by step, one tool at a time. I think again we were talking
Mm,
about how teachers can feel overwhelmed by the amount of tools available and which ones they should use and which ones they shouldn't. I think just find one that you would like to try and just stick with that and just try and use it as much as possible, really explore everything you can do with that one tool, because a lot of the times these tools are not just one trick ponies. You can do a lot of
Mm,
different things with them, and often we only scratch the surface. So I think using these tools just to do different things and just staying with that one tool and
mm,
yeah, I think a lot of what happens a lot of with a lot of teachers when they get this feeling of when they're overwhelmed is because they're kind of jumping between different tools at the same time and trying to do everything at once. And I think the idea is to avoid that and just so find a
yeah,
tool that you
like
like the
kind of
look of.
walk before you can run, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I think this
Yeah.
intimidation also comes from just being not being familiar with technology in general. I think.
Yeah. And also feeling kind of like, because a lot of people are confident with using tools, digital
Hmm.
tools. And a lot of people think, oh, I feel that I'm not as good. I don't know how to do it. So you
Yeah,
kind of get intimidated by your peers almost.
yeah. And I think a lot of teachers don't want to go into a classroom and they think, oh my God, the students are going to know that I don't know how to use this, or they're going to see
Mm,
that, and I don't want to feel, that way in front of
yeah.
my students. I think a lot of
Yeah.
teachers want to go into the classroom, they want to have their lesson planned, they want to know exactly, it's like the same thing. Like if you're teaching a new grammar point or a new, something that you're not familiar with, we've all been there, maybe when you start to teach higher levels, you start to research certain areas so that when you go into the classroom, you know exactly how to answer every question a
Yeah.
student has,
You like
it's
you avoiding feeling exposed.
exactly.
That's a big thing on my course.
Yeah.
Don't allow yourself to be exposed.
Mm,
If you're teaching a grammar point, get your head in the book or
yeah.
whatever, and then
Yep.
learn it for like
Exactly.
before you go into the classroom.
Yeah. Exactly.
Great. Thank you very much. That was an awesome topic. Thank you very much, Charlie. Muchísimas gracias para venir en el canal. I got to practice a little bit
Muchas
my
gracias por
Spanish.
por
Por,
venir,
okay,
for
por
Hey,
venir.
he's got you there, Mikey. I can hear the pronunciation was like,
No, I'm trying my best,
No, but it's good.
Yeah,
It's good.
so, muchísimas gracias, que fue una gran, ¿cómo se dice?
Experiencia.
Honor.
Oh, un honor.
Un honor, sí. I know that wasn't that,
Yeah,
I
you were
was
you were
close
you were
to that one.
close. Yeah, yeah.
All right, thank you. So, everyone, feel free to check out Charlie's lesson on YouTube channel. Here is the QR code. You got any new videos coming up? What's going on your channel these
Um,
days?
so yeah, I've actually got a lot of new videos that are actually only for members at the moment. So as on my YouTube channel, members get access to most of my videos, like early access, so before they go public.
Because you're
And
on TikTok too.
I'm on TikTok too, yeah.
Sorry.
So I think you've already shared a link to all my links. There's a bento
That's it.
one, yeah.
Bend to me, come to me, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so that's where you can find all my links. And so on my YouTube channel, which is really YouTube is where a lot of my longer videos are housed. So that's where to go. But I've got some
Tutorials, right?
yeah, tutorials, ideas, and so I've got a lot of videos coming out now. I've got a video that's currently about video, how to make video lessons. So tools online to make interactive video lessons. I've also got a video coming out about how to produce worksheets with Canva. which is really cool. Actually, Canva's actually becoming really, really useful for teachers, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also going back to the topic of this talk, the AI tools. I've actually done a video about a voice generation tool, which can enable teachers to design their own listening tasks, which is really, really cool. And I've got my website as well. I've got we're talking about websites for teachers. I've got a resource where I've put together 50 websites for English teachers. I do this series called Websites English Teachers Should Know, and I always say that at the beginning of every video.
Oh,
And
yeah.
and
I know that one.
I've got
That's good.
an ebook almost, or a resource where you can it's actually got 50 websites divided by skills with ideas for classes, and that's on sale on my website. So yeah, that's
Feel
definitely
free to go check it out, guys.
yeah.
Please go and subscribe to Charlie's lessons. Really awesome. Thank you for joining on a Saturday morning. That you are actually in Spain, right?
Yeah, it's Saturday morning right now, so I've got the whole weekend still to look forward to. And I don't know if you can see that right here, but this
Yeah,
team's
that's what it
playing
was.
tomorrow.
I did notice that. I wasn't happy.
This team's playing, yeah, because you're a Brighton fan, right,
Yeah, I was right,
Stuart?
Ben. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you should be happy, more or less, as well.
Yeah, we got Fulham today.
Yeah, but so they're playing at Manchester United tomorrow, and so I just would like everyone to tune in and support Arsenal tomorrow to get the win.
Great.
Yeah.
Cool.
I certainly will.
All right, guys. Thank you so much,
Thank you,
Charlie,
Mike.
for coming. Feel free to come whenever you want. We had good time together, and yeah, wish you all the best. We keep in touch.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stuart.
Yeah, see you
Welcome.
later, Charlie, mate.
Bye.
Yeah, have a good
Cheers.
weekend.
Thank you.
That was
Wow.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was one of the most useful lives we've ever done. That was a game changer for me. Yeah.
Yeah, when you're not much in all that, there's so many roads ahead that you can
Yeah.
choose to make your kids more engaged in the classroom. And AI is one of them. The very important thing is you got to be careful how to use it. And today, Charlie just pointed out it very well. And it's you better start. I'm just like Charlie, trying step by step.
Yeah.
You make mistake, but like you said, and remember, you said, give it a try.
Yeah, I think it's like riding a bike. When you begin learning a bike, you fall off straight away. Then after an hour, you can go like 5 meters, and then you fall off again. And I think using digital tools for what we do is the same thing. It's just like trial and error. And each day, each week, you're going to get better. And then after like a few months, you're going to be very proficient. So this was important for me because I don't use digital tools enough in my own teaching. And it's given me the confidence to find out a little bit more.
Thank you, Stu, again for coming, for being, we have so much fun on this ESL live stream. When we are together, it's far better.
Oh, yeah.
Because,
I missed it, when I was away with the baby coming, but it's good to be back.
And we missed you a lot for sure. So feel free, go and please subscribe to Stuart Allen, Teflon Lemon. This is your course. I get it wrong.
Yeah, well, feel free to scan that as well. I mean, if you're looking to do your TESOL training for the first time, you won't, in my opinion, find a better course. I've reviewed quite a lot of courses, and I think mine is pretty good. Yeah, but also try to find me on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube as well.
Great. Thank you very much, too. And yes, to mention again, quickly go to that Q&A, giveaway, where you can have one of a course for free, a TESOL course for level 4, 180 hours, and accredited, right, by ACTEC, right?
Yeah, ACTEC fully accredited, and it was a 4-year process building this course. It's thousands and thousands of pages, videos, audio, interviews. I do bespoke interviews with university professors. So, for example, the unit about pronunciation, I do an interview with a professor at the University of Strathclyde, talking. That's a pronunciation expert. It's a really a 3D course. You'll like it, and the units refer back to each other. So by the time you get to the end, you're going to be a very knowledgeable teacher.
Thank you for sharing it for that giveaway, and thank you for being here again today. Best wishes to your family. Hope the baby is doing good.
Yeah. He's not disturbed me. He must know that it's the ESL Live and not to cry. So
that was awesome. Thank you so much, Stu. See you next week. Next week, we'll see maybe new guests on the ESL live stream. Can't say really. There are quite a lot of people who wants to join. So you guys feel free to subscribe and like to help the channel. The live replay is going to be as well in here on Mike's Home ESL, but you also have the ESL live stream where you can check it, where it's another channel where I put all the lives there. Stu is there, of course, and you can check out every link that you have of the ESL live stream. Like today, the link is still live, even if it's on Stuart Allen's channel, on Tefl Lemon's channel, it's still there. So feel free to.
It's available, and and importantly as well. Today was a great live. And if you're watching and you found this useful, then share it. Share it with your colleagues or on your own channels. Because it helps get the love out there, and it helps our channel to grow, and it helps other teachers to learn stuff.
Exactly. Thank you, Stu. Have a nice Sunday with your family. We keep in touch, and see you next week.
Yep. See you later, Mike. See you later, everybody.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Cheers.
In the dawn of time, before writing, before civilization, teaching began. The first teachers were the elders, passing knowledge through stories, fire, and survival. From Mesopotamia to Egypt, the first schools were born. Scribes, philosophers, and scholars emerged to shape the world with wisdom. In the heart of Greece and Rome, teaching became an art. Socrates questioned, Plato imagined, Aristotle defined. The foundations of modern education were set. In the East, Confucius taught that education is the path to virtue and harmony. His teachings shaped generations, laying the foundation for lifelong learning and respect. Through dark ages and enlightenment, knowledge survived in monasteries, mosques, and temples, carried by the devoted. The Renaissance brought a new dawn. Books spread knowledge. Teachers became the architects of thought and progress. In the great academies of China, scholars mastered literature, science, and governance, ensuring that education remained the pillar of society. With industry came schools for all. Education moved from the elite to the people, building the workforce of a new age. From war to peace, teachers became the guardians of knowledge, shaping generations and breaking barriers. Today, classrooms transcend walls. Technology, AI, and innovation redefine teaching, but the heart of education remains unchanged. Dedicated teachers lighting the way. Tomorrow's world is unknown, but one truth remains. Teachers will always shape the future. From the first humans to the far future, teaching is the greatest legacy of humankind.